Welcome back to the channel. Urban Gardener DC here. This is Chris, and in today's video I'm actually going to do an experiment between these Jiffy Seed Trays that you buy at your local big box store and my traditional regular in your seed pallets. So to get started, I have all my materials prepped and let's get ready to go. Alright, so we have these Jiffy Seed Trays. You can buy them at, Lowe's, Home Depot, local nurseries have them. And basically all it is, it's a prepped peat moss tray. Alright, so you have 12 pellets in there. And I'm going to follow the instructions specifically. So it says that we need to pre-dampen these pellets. So that's great. I have my water mixture here. I'm just going to simply pour it into the tray. It says about 1 to 1.5 inches is sufficient. So I have, I don't want to spill the tray, but I've filled it. So we're going to let these peats, they're starting to float around a little bit. We're going to let them absorb that water, right? So for this video, I'm actually doing an experiment 2 times. I'm going to experiment with some varieties of tomatoes, some of which I've grown before. This one is Burpee. They're all Burpees actually, Burpee seeds. This one is Burpee's Super Steak Hybrid. And then we're also going to be doing, which I actually really love for making sauces, is we're going to do Aroma. And then another one that kind of caught my eye, it's called Honeycomb Hybrid. It's a cherry style tomato. It says it's very sweet. It's gold orange, ½ ounce tomato, delicious flavor, grows in bunches. Tomato plants should be between 12 and 15 inches high. Vines are about 5 to 7 inches apart. And it's a indeterminate. Right? This thing is going to keep growing and growing and growing. Now the Roma style, which my mother actually loves the Romas to make sauces with. This one is a very traditional, kind of like it's a little bigger than an egg shape, but it's taller than it is wide, but it's a beautiful, beautiful shape tomato. So I'm going to let these pods keep absorbing. But I've already prepped my seed tray, right? And we're going to do an equal amount. We're going to do 4 of each tomato. And I will probably put 2, maybe 3 seeds into each little cell. But I always want to prep, even though I have my mixture, peat moss and potting mix, I always like to prep the surface, even though the mixture was already moistened. But I do like to prep this, just to get the surface a little wet, so when that seed hits it, it's going to help amplify the germination process. Alright, so I'm going to do this in order, so I'm going to label these after I'm finished, but I'm going to do them in order from left to right. Now also keep in mind, the Jiffy pods comes with this clear plastic that goes over top. It helps retain moisture without a doubt. In past years, once they really break the surface and start to grow, I tend to like to take that cover off, because what happens is it leads to mold growth. It amplifies mold growth because there's almost too much moisture inside this cell. It's going to fill up water beads all across the top, and it's going to continue to permeate the top of the soil. But because it doesn't really breathe that much and there's not a lot of airflow, you're going to start to see surface mold around the soil top layer, right? So Jiffy says go ahead and let those, so we got to wait. I'm going to let these pods absorb all that water that I just put in there. And it doesn't say No, it doesn't say. I would think they would want you to drain the excess water, but we'll see how big these little pods swell up once they absorb the water. So I'm going to get started with this honeycomb hybrid. And some people like to use little tweezers. I actually have fat fingers, so it's not the easiest thing for me to do is germinating, or excuse me, planting these little tiny seeds. But I do fairly well. Let me get a couple of them out. So they're very, very small. I don't know if you can see on my fingertip, but they're like teeny tiny tomato seeds. So I'm just going to put 1, 2 in there. 1, 2 in here. I try to space them out a little bit from each other because if they both germinate, I usually tend to pick the stronger of the two plants and then let that chop the second one off. Sometimes with certain tomatoes, I've actually found I let both of them grow. I transplant them into, as you guys seen, these smaller, I think these are like 10-ounce cups. And then we go into my two-step method using the 18-ounce larger cups. All right, so I have those 4 cells germinated. And I'm just going to sprinkle just a little light layer of topsoil and my mixture, right? Topsoil mixture along with a little bit of the peat. Tap those in lightly. So now this first tray, you guys got to help me remember this. The first 4 cells are the honeycomb hybrids, and I'm going to do the same 4 when I get down to those to the Jiffy Peat. Then let's in the middle, yeah, why not? In the middle, let's go ahead and plant this beefsteak. And we're going to do, once again, we're going to put 2 seeds into each of these or each of these cells. This one doesn't want to open up. It's like they have extra glue. There we go. So same thing, I'm just going to shake them out. These are much bigger seeds, I can tell you. So hopefully by being that larger beefsteak variety, the size of these seeds is going to determine how large of a tomato it will end up growing. And again, I'm just putting 2 into each of these cells. 2. Well, I'm going to need 1 more seed for this last cell. All right, so we put that 1 in there. Let me get 1 more. Oh, there we go. So we got 1 more in that 4th cell. Same thing, just tap it down. Just slightly. Just a slight little pinch. With this last seeds that I don't need right yet. So that's the middle 4 cells. Again, we're going to take just a little pinch full of topsoil and peat mixture and just sprinkle it on top of those seeds. Some people like to germinate their seeds pretty deep. I tend to find out that, you know, just about the first knuckle of your finger, you know, like that very first joint is probably about as deep as I prefer to plant any of my garden vegetables. One, because it's closer to the surface, it's going to get that light a lot quicker. Second reason, a lot of vegetables, they like to develop a root system, and in these little 2-inch cells, you don't give them a whole lot of room. That's why they get root bound so quick. All right, so the last one, these last 4 cells, we're going to put Roma. I'm hoping these germinate really well because I haven't grown Romas in a couple of years, but thinking back to my mom making different sauces and stuff, Roma is a really great tomato for that purpose. It's not a bad eating tomato just to eat it raw, but it's something about the texture of it and the skin of it that it really, really does well for making sauces. Let me get these last seeds out here. Ooh, a whole bunch of them came out. Go 1, 2 there. Oh, that's got 3. No big deal. Got 2 more there and 2 more there. Let me get the last little seeds back in, and then we'll go over the Jiffy pods. I'm going to show you now. Really have swollen up. And then this is obviously going to be a 2 or 3 part video. I'm going to come back in about, I'd say 7 to 10 days and show you the germination progress and the difference between the Jiffy preset pods and then my germination technique. So there you go. All of my seeds are set. From left to right, we did the, what was it? We did honeycomb hybrid, far left. In the middle, we did the beefsteak. And then the last 4, we did the Romas. All right, so yeah, I didn't drain any water out. And look how puffy these got. All right, so that's the Jiffy seed tray. And it simply says, just sow your seeds in these pods, put the cover on, put them under some direct light. And it says germination. So harvest is 75 to 80 days on this honeycomb. Yep, 1/2 inch tomatoes. Start indoors. Yep, start 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost. It says seedling germination is 7 to 10 days. All right, not bad. So we'll probably check in about a week from now and see how these 2 different trays, using the same method of light, right? There we go with that one. And this 2. All right, so we got 4 in there for that one. Oops, we don't want to do Roma. We want to do beefsteak in the middle. 4. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend in these, seeing what I'm seeing in these seed trays, excuse me, in these seed packs. That honeycomb had far less seed than the Roma or the beefsteak. So be careful, you know, when you're trying to do an even amount of everything, you don't know what's in that seed pack. But that's fine. So I'm just dropping them. There's a little hole in the middle of these pods. See that little hole in the middle? And I'm just dropping them right there. Two. We got 2 more. All right, and then we're off to our last 4 in these pods, which is going to be that Roma tomato again. Now these pods, I'm only putting 2 in as well. I'm assuming both will germinate. We shall see. I need 2 more seeds. All right, so we are all in. We now have our Jiffy pod tray and then my traditional seed tray all ready to go. I'm going to put the top on as recommended to the Jiffy trays, and just it kind of just pops in there on these ridges. It doesn't want, oh, there it goes. All right, so Jiffy trays all ready to go. I'm going to take my germinating pod that I just cut out from another seed tray. These both are going to go under light, right above the surface of this Jiffy pod cell. I'm going to put that light directly on top of it. And then on my seed tray, I'm going to put it right next to it. They're going to grow under the exact same light for the exact same time period, using 2 slightly different methods. I have a peat moss topsoil, or excuse me, a peat moss potting mixture in mind, and then the pod cells that come with that Jiffy pack. So guys, if this information has been valuable to you, I say it all the time, you know, definitely leave me a comment down below. Love to hear from you. I'd like to hear what you guys have done. Have you experimented with different varieties of tomatoes? Have you used different methods as far as germination? Have you even tried to direct sow, right? All these things work in different climates, different environments. Here in Zone 7 in Washington, D.C., I've been using my methods. They're not the best methods. They're not the most practical in other climates, but they seem to work very, very well for us here. So with that being said, we're going to come back probably about 7 days and see where our progress is. So stay tuned, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.